I want to wish the Jewish people in America and Israel and all around the world a very happy Passover.
No.
We are into it. First of all, we are going to end all sanctuary cities.
Governor Cox also cites a memo that Bernanke's office issued a memo calling Utah a sanctuary state.
This fighting oligarchy tour.
On Sunday, at least 20,000 people gathered for Bernie Sanders' Where Do We Go From Here event.
We do not know the day or the hour of his coming.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. I am under full cyber terrorist attack today and partly last night. Mormons referred to me as an anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korahor. They know their scriptures so well that they are able to expose and confound me without spiritual witness feelings, without having to commit cyber terrorism, any kind of criminal activity, or be ordered by the Strengthening Church Members Committee, who are ordered by the living prophets of Jesus to attack me. They don't need to do any of that because they know the truth. They will not be shaken. As James chapter 1, verse 6. Hey, this was quoted by Joseph Smith in that first vision, where he learned that Christianity is all wrong, abominable, and corrupt. What religion is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. So Mormons certainly wouldn't be going with whatever is popular, going back and forth as to their opinions and beliefs. They would be running the scientific test of the scriptures to produce the results, and know, having faith no more, rendering their faith dormant like a volcano, as the scriptures tell us. Right? Alma chapter 32, faith dormant. Ether, faith no more. It's sad that the church stopped having scripture masteries. I mean, granted, I hated to memorize, but I use associative memory, and so I know all about them because I produced the results. I tested the Book of Mormon like I was told to do, and hey, it's true. And so, Adam fell. New Jerusalem is in America. We're Jewish, thus a Jewish Christ. Not supernatural of any degree. The 12 apostles are the stars for the date of the start of the ministry of the Jewish Christ. And the first and second, as well as Kirtland, were visions, not literal histories. And resurrection is not zombie apocalypse. It's a second erection restoring Joseph Smith's church that was insurrected. And so, yeah, the morning of the first resurrection? What? Wasn't that Jesus? What do you mean the latter days? This technically then would be the morning of the second resurrection, but the second resurrection is for the terrestrial people sometime after the first resurrection of the latter days, not the Roman period Jesus time. I'm confused. And what do you mean Joseph Smith was able to stand before Heavenly Father and Jesus' brightness of glory without having been baptized to receive the Holy Ghost, let alone go to the temple to be endowed with power from on high? How did he see them again? You know, if it were a vision, yeah, sure, I can understand that, because it's not literal history. But Mormons, they know better than me. They don't need to commit crimes to show me up and hide me from other people who are sensitive snowflake Mormons, weak in their testimony because they're not obeying the living prophet of Jesus to have child bride polygamy now. See, these Mormons, they're fully in on child bride polygamy, and they're breeding those women, keeping them barefoot pregnant in the kitchen. No mission, no education, no career for those women. They're breeding. They're being obedient to the living prophet of Jesus. Because the law of chastity has been changed since 2019, and these Mormons, they're obedient. They would not disobey the living prophet of Jesus. So yeah, I've noticed a number of attacks being done to me. The camera grinding, the flashing of YouTube, the video channels, the picture flashes, which can cause seizures for a good percentage of the population. Whether I'm signed in or signed out, YouTube will flash, trying to cause a seizure in me. Seriously? And then freezing my camera and the computer, which results in a complete whiteout screen, and the taskbar goes white, and then it comes back as my file folder pages are gone. So that's how I was able to find out that somebody was downloading gay porn on my computer, and then when they realized that I was catching on and was trying to find out who put this file on my system, and I clicked on it, and there were more files, and so I clicked on one of them, and more files, and more files, and more files, and more files, and finally I was getting to the end, and it was deleting right before my eyes. I'm going, what the hell is going on? This was way back in 2017. And so I did an emergency shut off of the system, rebooted it back up, and the guy was gone. And so I go into the files. What is this? And gay porn. Which is weird. Why would you plant gay porn, but then delete it? Isn't the whole purpose of hacking my system and planting gay porn on my computer to leave it there? To make me delete it? Which I did. And so, yeah, snapshots are not working. You know, the print screens, they won't work. I have to do all sorts of techniques to try to get it going again, to trigger it. And this morning it just refused. And then, of course, YouTube has flatlined my views again. Because the church is true. They have nothing to fear from the enemy, anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korihor Travis. Right? Because church is true. If the church is true, Mormons don't have to fear what men say about them. Mormons can just tell them the truth. No, we are Jewish. I mean Christian. We are not ashamed of the Jewish religion of Joseph Smith. No! We're Christian, just like you. But you have temple worship. Yes! You believe Lucifer is Jesus' brother. Yes! You believe in a heavenly mother. Yes! That's pagan. Even Jesus is not Trinity Jesus. Yes! It's non-Trinitarian, like Hercules, Perseus, Horus, etc. Marduk. No. Yes. Mormons are pagan. And the church is deceiving you by calling you Christian. Saying it's non-Trinitarian, which means pagan. That's why the first creed of Christianity says, no non-Trinitarians. You're pagan. You're not Christian. Christian is only for those who believe in Trinity from the first creed of Christianity. And so for the church to say that the first creed of Christianity is true, except for non-Trinitarian Jesus, they're just... I don't get it, Mormons. I don't get it. So yeah, they're technically... they're shutting down my views. Why are they worried about what people might think? I mean, obviously, Mormons know the truth. They're not going to be conned and deceived by me. You know, they should be worried about those other anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate Korihors like John DeLynn. Oh, he's a big problem. You know, it took, you know, after Gerald Tanner died and Sandra Tanner to be all by herself, that they finally destroyed her, had forced her out of her home and out of her church, destroying the church that she had started with her husband. You know, they were pure evil, coming up, finding the original Joseph Smith documents, exposing them to the world. How dare they? And so the church showed them. They published the Joseph Smith Papers, the authoritative source for all things Joseph Smith. So our whole scriptures are null and void. But, you know, church says there's nothing to see. It's exactly the same as what we have. Because they're not making any changes. They're not publishing a new edition of the scriptures. You know, they only published a new fiction work called The Saints volumes. See, when I was a child, the church said that Joseph Smith was not a polygamist, despite section 132 claiming to be by Joseph Smith, in which he says, Emma, you need to allow me 10 child bride virgins, or Jesus is going to destroy you. But we were all told we don't talk about it. We are not practicing polygamy. Joseph wasn't either. We're just not going to talk about it. And so on my mission in Newburgh, New York, Mark Augustine told other people there in the town when they asked, isn't Joseph Smith polygamist? And he insisted, no, Joseph Smith was not a polygamist. And so, yeah, he was actually right. But that's what Mormons taught and believed back then. And so then the Gospel Topics essays came out, and now the church was confessing that Joseph Smith used a rock and a hat. He's not a translator. He just looked in a rock and a hat. And Nelson did his April 2020 Saturday session of conference. No more priesthood. And demonstrated how it works. He took up the hat. He looked in it. That's exactly how it's done. And only apostate anti-Mormon antichrist Korahor Travis mocked him. And people were offended. Mormons were offended. James Huntsman was offended. He left the church because of that. How dare you tell me that it was a rock and a hat? You know, I went to the Church History Museum. I saw it. I went, oh, they're showing it now, huh? Okay. It's the wrong rock. That's a nice polished rock. Not the one Joseph had, which was actually 2. South Park got it right. They used the right rocks. That would be hilarious if it's Doctrine and Covenants 28, right? Was that the incident? Because I don't think it was 43. 28. Come on. Yeah. Revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet to Oliver Cowdery at Fayette, New York, September 1830. Hiram Page, a member of the church, had a certain stone and professed to be receiving revelations by its aid concerning the upbuilding of Zion and the order of the church. Nope. Only Joseph is the head of the church. So yeah, all these other people thought they knew better than Joseph. We're looking at a rock and a hat and getting their own revelation as to how to build Zion and the order of administration of the church. Nope. Only the head of the church can do that. He has to be the man like Moses, you know, the Jewish Christ. You know, right? Seer, prophet, revelator, translator, Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. So yeah, nobody watched my video this morning. Obviously, because I'm so threatening to this church. John Dehlin, ex-Molex, Alyssa Grenfell, Thinker of Thoughts. Who else is there? None of them. Just me. I'm the threat. They're not a threat. I'm the threat. I need to be criminally attacked. I need to be cyber terrorized. I need to shut up. I need to be murdered. Right? Because I'm the threat, they're not. But wait a minute. That means they're wrong. That Mormons aren't following and wait a minute, Mormons are following and believing them. And leaving the church. Wait a minute. Nobody's following and believing me and leaving the church, therefore, but those who are not the threat to the church are causing an exodus of Mormons, not because of me, because of those others, but I'm the one being attacked. trying to destroy me, trying to murder me, trying to shut me up. I'm the threat. They're not. They're pulling out Mormons faster than me. As I've even had comments by people who who thought that they were being funny, I'm hoping, who said, I left the church long ago, but after watching your video, I'm going back to church. Church is now true because Travis is wrong. And then they get interviewed by Saints Unscripted. I was an anti-Mormon apostate core, and then I saw a video by Travis and I came back to church. I'm interviewed by Saints Unscripted. Evil is never logical. They never make any sense whatsoever. So, it's a really quick Trump ICE 2025 news. Mormons are getting tossed about in the sea like a wavering ship. Because Mormons have always been alt-right Nazis, voting for what used to be the GOP. They don't exist anymore. It's now MAGA. You know, there's a short-lived branch off called that Tea Party with Senator Lee. Yep, gone. It is MAGA. There is nothing else. And those deep state Dems, they're all sensitive snowflakes trying to convince MAGA that they're actually GOP still, Republicans. They're trying to trick you. You're not falling for it. Well, Mormons did. Because with the second coming of Donald Jesus Trump and the offended Fox News with the SNL skit, come on, that was hilarious. Come on, you sensitive snowflakes. Everybody is missing what one news figured out. That was Midas Touch. They caught on to the big news here in Utah the other day. Was it yesterday or over the weekend? Probably over the weekend, because Mormons were skipping church to turn blue. And so, yeah, Bernie and AOC were doing their world tour, and they stopped in Utah and held a rally. And wow, what the hell happened? I thought Mormons voted for Trump, and yet there were thousands. It was a packed house. Huntsman Center. What the hell? Daddy is rolling over in his grave over how apostate his kids are. One brother says he's a half Mormon, a spiritual Mormon. I think it's a spiritual Mormon, which I guess means he doesn't pay his tithing. The other brother, James, who's suing the church. I don't see the church trying to destroy him. Just me. Just me. The only Mormon being targeted by Mormons in this church. Because, you know, they've shut me down. Nobody believes. So I'm such a great and terrible threat. Mormons are going to realize the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith are true by listening to Travis. Got to shut him up. Shut him up. Don't do it. Stop him. Stop him. So yeah. And I've gone over this with you since Trump took over as the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the great high priest, Donald Jesus Trump. I've been doing the videos. You haven't been watching because I'm the anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korahor. What do I know? I'm always wrong. And so I'm therefore a great threat because I'm lying. Those other anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korahors who are leading Mormons astray and leaving the church, they're not lying. They're not a threat to the church. Now, how do you determine a threat to the church? Is it not by the number of people you get out of the church? Isn't that? And so, why am I the threat? Are you fooled by YouTube's AI? It says I have 1.55K subscribers. You do understand AI is a fraud, right? That it doesn't tell you the truth. Those are ghost subscribers, right? I mean, I did the video the other day of how John Dehlin has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. It was 280, wasn't it? And so I'm the threat. Whatever. Whatever. Mormons know what they're doing, I guess. Focusing on me and leaving the church for them. It's a trap! Travis tricked us! Oh! So yes, Trump did exactly what he threatened to do. I told you in the beginning, nobody listens. Trump keeps his threats. You're all conditioned to believe the traditional political order of things, that every presidential candidate from the different parties all lie about what they're gonna do if you vote for them, and then they don't do it. And then you get pissed and you vote for the other person the next time around. Sort of. You kind of let people run for 2 terms nowadays. Because, yeah, Clinton, after Poppy, who only had 1 term, but then you had Reagan for 2 terms, but Clinton was 2 terms, and then Obama was 2 terms, and then Trump was 1 term, but he's now got a 2nd term because of Biden's 1 term. So yeah, very, very weird. But you know, Oaks confessed, got leaked by a little sister missionary. So she's not being attacked, I am. All I'm doing is reading the mission president's letter that she leaked. Why am I the bad guy? Oh, it had to do with Joseph Fielding Smith's Way to Perfection. Page 291. I was just reading it. I didn't write it. Why am I getting attacked? Seriously, dear God. Yeah, the church is involved in all of this. I just read to you from section 124 There's their plot right there. Brigham Young was stupid enough to keep a document trail, even though he was flaming, framing and blaming Joseph for it. Brigham Young is flaming with his tiki torches. Which there's a word for it in the Book of Mormon. Abinadi. And so, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me other than people are getting brainwashed and being tossed about because they don't know how to know truth. Whatever the mass majority tells people, everybody goes along with it. Oh, okay. Oh, the new British etiquette called cancel culture is telling me what is right and what is wrong. I'm sure it has nothing to do with political correctness or any of the other names that have been going on generation after generation, trying to tell people how to think, how to feel, and what to believe and how to act. And those consequences continually follow. It's the same consequences every single time. They change the name, just like drugs that get advertised on commercials where the people are all happy and having fun, and then the narrator tells you the side effects of the drug will cause death, anal bleeding, leprosy, impotence, hair loss, and then they get sued, and the drug company then slaps a different label name on it and resells it to the public to go through the cycle yet again. And I don't get it. If Mormons voted for Trump, why didn't you listen to him? Why didn't you watch and listen to his rallies? Why didn't you go over Project 2025 or Agenda 47? Why didn't you believe him? Why did you think that this was just some WWE match that was only going to affect the deep state Dems and get them all triggered? We don't even use triggered anymore. We don't use owned anymore. I don't even know what they're using now. I guess they're in limbo until somebody else comes up with a different name for triggered and owned. And so now you're just seeing response. React. You're not supposed to react. You're supposed to be proactive with knowledge so that you don't get tossed about with reactions. This is what the scriptures are trying to warn you of, and yet America is falling because they are being tossed about like a ship wavering in the sea. And as Mormons, you are on the forefront to not be deceived by this psychological con. And yet, and so yes, State of Utah, run and operated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is a sanctuary state. It got leaked. Cox told ICE, you will stand down. You will not do your job. I am handcuffing you. And so the guy sent an email saying, my hands are handcuffed. We're a sanctuary state, I was told. And then Cox was upset. He was reacting. No, you can't tell people what I told you. It's got to be a secret combination. Shh. Didn't you go through the temple? Nobody's supposed to know. And and so Cox had to do damage control to lie and say, no, we're going to conform and comply to Trump. We'll do it. We believe in Trump. Went and bowed the knee, and his tongue confessed that Trump is the Christ. And yet, still nothing. No mass roundups. There's over 600,000 in the state of Utah who are on Trump's list of gotta go. We are a sanctuary state, and Trump is protecting Utah, exempting Utah from his orders. There is no mass roundups, only token stuff. Only because the local cops are rounding up the quota for the month, and it just so happened that some of them don't have documentation. So they're claiming that as doing the Trump ICE 2025. They've been doing this for decades. You know, it used to be 3,000 a month. And apparently now it's only 1,000 a month for the Salt Lake County Jail. I was kind of surprised. It was 3,000 in my day. And so when Trump then began all of this, deporting people, triggering the deep state Dems, getting them all panicked and scared and sensitive snowflakeville, and Trump then started doing tariffs and then backed off for a month, and then April 2nd, massive tariffs. The church made off like bandits because they're the major stockholder. They sold their stocks. They made the 10 trillion worldwide. 10 trillion. It was only 6.4 here in the United States of America. There's also 4 million in Asia, and who knows how, or trillion in Asia, and then who knows how many trillion for Europe. The church made off like bandits. I'm probably being generous saying that the church scored $10 trillion since April 2nd. Trillion, guys. And you were all thinking it was the Catholic Church who was the richest. Until the whistleblower came out and he went, oh yeah, okay, the church only has 250 billion. How many sources of revenue does the church have? It's more than tithing. Ensign Peak Advisors is only for tithing. It is not for fast offerings. It is not for the temple program. It is not for the missionary program. It is not for philanthropies. It is not for charities. It is not the vending machines, giving machines, or the other sources of revenue. Those have their own Ensign Peak Advisors, not called Ensign Peak Advisors. The church is beyond multi-billionaires. They're multi-trillionaires now, especially. Trillions! This is why they don't want you to know. And they were fine leaking or exposing because they were kind of forced to because of the whistleblower. And yet they didn't destroy him. I am. I'm the threat, not the whistleblower. Somebody's priorities are screwed up. And so, yes, the church comes out and says, we believe in not separating families. We're going to provide aid and comfort to these enemy, undocumented terrorists, rapists, who are sneaking into our country to get their babies naturalized, born in the United States. And yet, I'm the bad guy. And so, yes, the church, all of a sudden, when Biden was president, the church was MAGA. No, Biden is evil. He's doing this wrong. This is immoral. And so, yeah, the church was involved in getting Roe v. Wade overturned under Biden, getting the Disrespect for Marriage Act with the church's exemption clause. That was the church under Biden. And don't even get me going on the theft of money during Biden's term. They were all anti-Biden. And now Trump. Now they're anti-Trump. They had legislatures for Utah putting up the we're gay for Trump. The flag. We're gay for Trump. Which flags are now banned in Utah? And all of those legislatures now are complaining about Trump. What are you doing? We voted for you. What are you doing? Exactly what you voted him to do. This is not making any sense. But still, Trump won't come after Utah. He won't touch them. Nobody is touching Utah. Elizabeth Warren has demanded that the SEC investigate Trump for insider trading, shorting the stocks. Because nobody listened to me. So, yeah, it's just psycho. I'm right. And I should be the threat. And that's the whole point. See, the people who attack me, they know they are scared of me. And they don't want people to know about me. They keep failing to destroy me. And Nelson just came out and just had to tuck tail between his legs. Now, I told you that Jesus was coming, but I no longer know the day. We still have Sunday. Oaks is threatening to murder us for Sunday, so we'll see if that will happen. These are the worst criminal terrorists ever. 200 years they've been plotting and planning this, and they keep failing. It is humiliating. I mean, seriously, I've done everything that I was supposed to do. It was easy. Kind of like I was born as a natural for it. But Nelson? What the hell? How did you botch this? God. And so, yeah. Also need to pay attention because the church is heavily invested in Meta, which was Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, or whatever it is. Because it's being accused in the courts right now of being a monopoly. It's not going to go anywhere. Google under Biden was told they had to sell off their search engine, and they refused to do it, and now it's being used as a conduit for cyber terrorists on me. As they refused to sell, and now Trump is in, and they don't have to sell now. They can just ignore the court order. And so, yeah, it's going to be the same thing with Meta. He'll be told he has to sell, and he'll just refuse to sell, and he'll smooze Trump, and Trump will let him get away with it. We all know this is what's going to happen. Nothing will be done to stop Trump, even though they're putting on a show as a form of torture. The slow 1,000 cuts of death torture. That's what they're doing. They're dragging it out. The church wanted them to be done by now. Church wanted to establish their kingdom for conference, and Nelson had to tuck tail and in shame and humiliation to say, crap. I have no idea when it's going to happen now. And then Trump goes and says, 90 more days. No. But at least yesterday he said, well, I've changed my mind. I'm like a woman. I change my mind a lot. Don't get angry at me, women. You're not listening anyway. But you yourselves say you're a woman and you change your mind. And you can change your mind and I should just go with it. Whatever. If you don't want to be with me, just say so from the beginning so that you don't shatter my heart, rip it out of my chest, flop it in a blender, and frappe it on high like a mini marshmallow Stay Puff. So yeah, that's it. We're all gonna die.